Hope everybody is doing good out there today. I apologize in advance because this is not going to be the quietest video. My air conditioner is on the brink, so I'm going to have all the fans going, all the windows up, so you're going to hear every cat, dog, squirrel, hobbit in the background. I know it's terrible. Forgive me. I am truly sorry. But I did want to talk to you guys about Sha Carri Richardson today. So, you know, a lot of people have opinions about Sha Carri Richardson. Some people love her, some people hate her. But what I really want to talk about is Sha Carri Richardson, but on a, I guess I would say, macro level. So I'm going to kind of be addressing Sha Carri Richardson as I would address what happens to African American women when they stumble and fall, when they make mistakes, what happens when their strive for excellence falls just short, and that black girl magic trick didn't work. So let's get into it. What I want to talk about, whether you're for Sha Carri Richardson or against Sha Carri Richardson, is just really this culture that we have, this misogynistic culture where we think we can just drag black women, right? So Sha Carri Richardson is arguably a very, very talented woman, okay? She did qualify for the Olympics in 2021. And she was disqualified not for doping or not for being some drug addict, but for taking marijuana, which is legal in most states. Now, whether you believe in marijuana use or not, this woman worked very hard and had to overcome obstacles just to get where she was. Now, I do understand rules are rules and things of that nature. However, we have to take into account a person's circumstances and the whole human being. And I just feel like whenever it involves an African American woman, we never seem to be able to do that. I'm not saying it's okay that Sha Carri Richardson took marijuana, but I am saying she's a human. She had just recently found out that her biological mother had passed away. And she found out very abruptly in an interview, right? We require all these athletes to go and give these interviews, typically right after running a very difficult race. And so, if I'm not mistaken, that's kind of how she found out. And so her process in trying to deal with that trauma was to take marijuana. And I'm thankful that she took marijuana and didn't take her own life, or drink and then get in a car and drive and go kill someone, or do something far more devastating. Marijuana has been prescribed medically to ease anxiety and other issues, and I do understand why the Olympics would not want someone on any type of stimulant, but it wasn't a performing enhancing drug. So let's just be very clear. I personally believe she should have been allowed to run in the race. And she still ran that race shortly after getting the news, and then was disqualified. First, she was suspended for 30 days, which gave her hope that she may be allowed to compete, right? And then she was suspended, ultimately not allowed to go to the Olympics. So whether you agree with that decision or not, we have to start understanding that African American bleed, right? Like Shylock the Jew, like from Merchant of Venice with Shakespeare. When you prick us, we bleed, right? And so we can't continuously experience trauma, whatever type of trauma that be, whether it be the loss of a loved one in Sha Carri Richardson's case, or economic inequality, sexual harassment, interpersonal violence, whatever it is that we're experiencing, we have to be able to cope. And I was just very devastated and disappointed at the way I felt she was treated. Why is it as black women we receive less of the empathy but more of the trauma? And then we're weak, we're whiny if we, say, ouch, it hurts, or God forbid, someone like Sha Carri Richardson smokes a little pot to get through the situation. Michael Phelps has smoked marijuana. Now, I don't know if he was doing it during the Olympics, but I have heard Serena Williams, one of the greatest tennis players of all time, say that they test African American athletes far more than they test white athletes. So, kind of like Michelle Alexander has said, we're over-policed, whether it be in our communities and Olympics, on a job. Obviously, if you're in our communities or testing us for the Olympics more, then you're going to find something. Then, white communities aren't necessarily doing drugs less. I'm not saying Michael Phelps did drugs during the Olympics. I don't know. But was he tested as much as some of the black athletes are? So, I can go on. And then what happens with regards to the backlash in society, right? She gets dragged by people telling her she's a loser. And yeah, she's a little mouthy, okay? Yeah, she definitely is feisty and has a spirit, which is her voice. And I don't always agree with the way in which she handles things. Case in point, the Prefontaine Olympics, the Prefontaine race that she just ran in Oregon. She did finish dead last. And I don't know why that occurred, but I would have loved to have seen her go over and congratulate the winners, Shelly Ann Fraser Price and Elaine Thompson Herrera. And I would have loved her to have some quiet reflection, and she really didn't do that. She gave a profanity-laced interview. It was very braggadocious and unfortunate. And what that said to me was a woman who was hurting, who has missed her opportunity and shot to go to the Olympics for 2021, who suffered a public humiliation coming in 9th place and not properly ready to compete. I think she needs a publicist, one who can allow her to speak in her authentic voice, but also help her to understand what's appropriate to say and maybe what isn't, take some of the chip off her shoulder, and for the love of God, somebody get her off of social media. I feel that's just a huge black hole where she wastes a lot of time and energy fighting invisible ghosts, meaning people with accounts with names and faces whom you don't know. That's a war you'll never win. But she does have an enemy with a face, Roland Martin. And that's what I want to talk about today. Now, previously, Roland Martin for the People, I don't know what his show is named, but I've always liked Roland Martin. I remember him on CNN, and I don't know if he got kicked off, fired, or left, but he now has his own show. I even know people have sent him money. I watch his show quite a bit, but I was very disappointed to hear his comments about Sha Carri Richardson, right? Either we're for the people or we're not for the people. Either we're for all the people or we're not for all the people. So here we have this 52-year-old black man attacking and coming for this 21-year-old African-American woman who just lost her mother, who then found the strength to compete and then take the 30-day suspension with the hope that she may be able to compete in the Olympics, and then find out she's not able to compete in the Olympics. That's a lot of trauma. That's 4 more years of trying to be mentally and physically strong enough and hope that she can compete in the next Olympics, of which she'll be well into her 20s, 25 and 26. And so I love the fact that Sha Carri Richardson showed up to the race, okay? She did finish dead last, and that's okay. It is a very important race because she did talk a lot of trash. This was her opportunity to back it up, so obviously she wrote a check she couldn't cash. Many people have written checks they couldn't cash. But the issue that I have is how she was dragged. And this was before really her interview, I think, almost directly after. So this is what Roland Martin said. Dang, Sha Carri Richardson got smoked at the Prefontaine at Nike Pre-Classic like a big Jamaican blunt. That was brutal. If your ASS gonna write checks that they can't bounce. She finishes 9th. She got humbled real fast by the world's top sprinters. And that's what Roland tweeted. And, you know, he talks about being for the people and not being allowed in certain spaces with Nancy Pelosi or others as a member of black media. And you're either for the people, all the people, or you're not. And when you take aim at an African-American woman who is already on the ground, down and bleeding, I don't have a lot of respect for that. And that's one of the issues that becomes so problematic for us. As African American women, no one cries for us, no one holds our hand, we don't get that support or that empathy that white women get, or women of color, or anybody else, Bozo the Clown. You know, I would have loved if a seasoned, intelligent, educated man like Roland Martin would have said, wow, Sha Carri, she wasn't at her best. She needs to get back in that lab and train a little harder, and don't write checks that you can't cash. These are amazing athletes and women, and maybe you could learn something from them. I mean, just anything else rather than something so virile, and negative. And it's no wonder this girl has a chip on her shoulder. I do understand that. I don't think that she's handling it the best way. I do want to say that. But who am I to tell her how to handle and process trauma? She's definitely being targeted by trolls, by people who are nasty. And then we have people like Allison Felix, who appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live recently, who said just give her some love and support. I don't know how true it is, but I heard that she attacked Allison Felix, one of the greatest in track and field with a 20+ year career, 11 medals, and said that she felt her words were false and phony. And this is the problem. African American women can be hit so hard, can be traumatized so often that we don't even see our allies when they are there. That doesn't suggest or imply that we are angry black women. But what it does suggest is that a lot of the persecution, a lot of the burden to be great, a lot of the mistrust that is already existent in the African American community can cause us to see enemies that are not there. But don't be fooled, there are definitely plenty of enemies there. And I was just very disappointed by that response. I am praying for Sha Carri Richardson. I want to see her come back fierce, faster, and better than ever. I really do feel she needs a life coach, someone that she can go to, a psychologist, someone that she can kind of talk through some of these issues that she may be having, and then a publicist, someone that can prepare her to make the statements in her own voice, but maybe in a way that isn't so derogatory and just plain nasty. That's what I would like to see for Sha Carri Richardson. I don't know if she will do those things or not, but on a macro level, I can say that black women are really tired from just all of the things that we experience as humanists, and then somebody like Roland Martin coming along and dragging us as well. This woman had the guts to even show up after all that she's gone through. She continues to show up. She showed up after her mother passed away. She showed up after her suspension, and she continues to show up. So let's just get off black women's backs. We're not mules. Let's not ride us around the do-si-do. And let's just take a moment to treat us like human beings. So that's all I wanted to say about that.